Hi, welcome to QOTPOD. I'm Al Yates, and we're on episode 38. I've got a little Exeter City sixth round picture from 1980-81. I'm dreaming of that in the Carabao Cup. We are only 4 games from Europe. You never know, it might happen. If you haven't noticed already, on screen, no introduction needed. Mr. Marcus Stewart, how are you today? Are you well?
Fine, thanks, Al. Yeah, all good. Looking forward to see what...
You cracked a joke about you were wearing your prison outfit, but that's not a prison T-shirt, is it? It's just fashion.
No, it's not. No, but one or two people have mentioned that to me today. I seen Stephen Darby today, so the first thing he says to me, he said, "I've just come out of prison." So that's the kind of guy he is.
Brilliant.
And my wife said I look like someone from France.
Someone from France. I was thinking more French myself, if I'm honest. Right, let's do a little bit of introduction, as I always do, and then I'll ask you some questions about where it all began. You have played one hell of a number of games. Is it 664? And you scored 100?
I think that's league games. I think I've played more games than that.
Okay.
Including all competitions. I think it's 700 or something. 700. How many goals you got down there?
Well, this is wrong, because I think it's going to be one of my questions. It says 199, but you definitely did 250, didn't you?
I got 254 games, so goals in all competitions, and I think it's 199 in league games.
Right, there you go. And you're from the Kevin Nicholson school of competitiveness about getting it right, which I do like.
I'm not too bothered. I mean, 199. I mean, I'm one short of 200 now, so it's like, but my aim was to get to 250, so I wasn't worried about the 200.
Well, you did it. So, I've done a little bit of research, and something came up which threw me a little bit, which we'll go through in a minute. But where did it all start? What was your grassroots youth football team? Where did it begin?
For me, it all started playing street football. When I was, I don't know, I was probably been 6 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old. Just meet up on a Sunday afternoon. There was no mobile phones back then. Literally turn up 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, or whatever time your mates would say on a Friday. We'd have a game of football. All sorts of ages turned up, from my age to kind of 12, 13-year-olds. We just, the older lads, obviously wasn't the older lad then, but they would pick a team, kind of fair with age groups and size and stuff like that, and we just go and play football. 1st to 20, jumpers for goalposts. If you could find a stick from somewhere that kind of emulated some sort of post, it was brilliant. But generally, it was jumpers for goalposts. And play 1st to 20. That was what I remember. And if the game finished quite quickly, we'd have another game and then change the sides a bit to make it a bit more even. So that was my first kind of look into football. Really was playing that, and then it was school football, and I joined a boys' club, which is called Hartcliffe Boys Club.
It was Hartcliffe,
yeah, and then also Whitchurch Sports. So I kind of played on a Saturday and a Sunday sometimes. Growing up.
Right. And you found that really useful, I imagine, in terms of...
Well, at the time, you're just enjoying football. You want to play as much as you can. So if you had a game on a Saturday and a Sunday, it was brilliant. I couldn't wait. Both days. So you're playing with your mates. There's no pressure on you. Some games were easy, like it is that level. Win 12, 13, 14, 15, 20-0 sometimes. And then some games were close, and there was a bit of needle if there was a local boys club, or something like Eagle House Boys Club, I suppose, was close to us. Bempster Down Boys Club was close to us, Hartcliffe Boys Club. So there was always that bit of competitive edge, I suppose, when you had to kind of step up and play and try and win the game. I suppose not too dissimilar to when becoming a pro, when it becomes a bit more serious. So those types of games kind of made me a bit robust, I suppose, because I wasn't the biggest lad in the world. I'm not small, but I've never been kind of the stockiest lad. I've always been quite slim and slight. So those sorts of games, you learn to toughen up a bit. And at the time, I'm not realising that, but they did. And I was playing with my mates, and I loved it. Playing schoolboy football with your mates.
And you say schoolboy football, England schoolboys.
Yeah. So obviously playing for Ipswich Sports and local teams, boys clubs. I got scouted by Southampton. I went to join them when I was about 13 years old. I was there for about a year. I used to train at Tidworth. Didn't like the place, if I'm honest with you. There was a bad feeling about the place.
Right.
And luckily, and I know why, because Bob Higgins was my coach.
Right.
And he's just passed away, hasn't he? Obviously, he's a convicted paedophile.
I didn't
was
know.
amongst training all those guys, that were on TV recently. And I just didn't like the feel about the place at the time. I didn't know why. There was a bit of a Bob bullying culture there. There was a bit of a, your face fitted kind of thing. At the time, that's what I felt. And when I left there, when they released me at I think it was 13 and a half, 14, Bristol Rovers came in for me straight away, and I joined them. And I just felt instantly comfortable. I don't know if it's because I was doing a lot of traveling as a kid, coming over from school.
For a long way, that.
Tidworth, 2 hours on a Tuesday and a Thursday. Or whether it's because, I was at home. So, at the time I didn't realise that it didn't fit. I just thought that was how it was. And as you get older, you realise that I'm actually glad I didn't join that club at that time. And it worked out well for me at Rovers. I had an instant feel. I was playing with guys that I used to play against when I was at Ipswich Sports, and they played for their local teams. So then we obviously were rivals back in the day, but they're all of a sudden my teammates and now very good mates of mine to this day, 2 or 3 of them. So it was a decision I didn't know was right at the time, but it was another one, luckily for me, how that worked. And while I was playing for Bristol Rovers, I got a call to go on trials for England under 15s, having to travel up to Lilleshall on a train with no mobile phone. Your mum dropped you at the train station. You had a piece of paper in front of you, giving you the itinerary of what time the trains turn up, where they're going to stop, where they're going to change over. Pretty daunting stuff for someone who's only 14 years old, 14 and a half. So that was a great life experience, going up there every week. And then I think it was about eight trials. No, I would say about between 4 and 7 trials I had to go through to actually get in the team. You go to one trial, there was like 200 kids there. Then you wait for the letter to come through the door to see if you picked or not. So you open the letter thinking, what's this going to say? Oh, you're in the next trial. Then you had your next train itinerary. And then it just went on to that. And all the players obviously whittled down to I think we had a final trial day. And I think there was about 50 players. We all went up to Lilleshall. Obviously, we've got to know each other a bit more now because we've seen each other at trials. I got through. I was one of the, I think it was 25 that got through into the England squad. Jamie Redknapp was part of that team. Gary Flitcroft was part of that team. Lee Clark was part of that team. So, not everyone made it. Like 3 or 4 of us kind of had a good career out of it. So, although you're 15 years old and you think you've got an England squad, you still got a long work to do. I didn't realise that. I'm always driven anyway. I'd never kind of thought I'd ever made it, even when clubs paid money for me. I was always trying to improve and trying to prove people wrong.
And what's that because of family keeping you level, shall we say, and go, you can do better than this?
No, not at all. It's just me. I mean, it's just the mindset I've always had. I wouldn't say been insecure, but I've always wanted to prove people wrong. So the fact that I got released from Southampton, I want to prove them wrong. And it's ironic actually because I obviously got released by Southampton. Rovers took me on, and then I got in the schoolboy team. So a year later, this is after Southampton released me, and they had the cheeky to give me a call back, say, "Can you come down and play for us?" Like just because I got an England squad. I went, no, thanks, I ain't going back down there. So that was that, and then obviously this is in the future now. So I got moved to Ipswich. And we played Monday night football against Southampton in the Premier League. And I scored my first and only hat-trick in that game.
You were that determined.
And the first person I saw when I walked up to the players' bar after I just scored a hat-trick against Southampton was the guy that released me. I forget his name. But
Really?
the best in football, yeah.
Well, I was going to ask you about your moments, but that must have been quite a moment. It's like
brilliant moment. You know, you didn't know what to say. I just let him hold the match ball for a second if he wanted to. And it's ironic because Paul Tisdale was in the same Southampton team as me, Southampton squad. So that's where mine and Tiz's connection comes from. And we played his school in the Woodcock Shield as well in the final. I think we might have won, I'm not sure. But we played each other in schoolboy football. So I knew Tiz from a long time ago. We're still the same age. So.
You've just answered one of my questions for later. So that's all right. So you did all right at the Gas, didn't you? Was it at least 171 appearances and 80-odd goals? You lost to Huddersfield in 1995, the player final. And then ended up moving to Huddersfield. Is that right?
Yeah, so we lost in the playoff final. And then I had one more season at Bristol Rovers in the equivalent of League One as it is now.
Yeah.
So I had that. Huddersfield were obviously in the Championship as it is now, but it was Division 2 back then.
Yeah.
So I had one more season at Rovers. I think I got 30 goals that year. I'm not sure. I think I did. And then, but that season, John Ward left, who was the manager in the playoff final. He left at the end of that. No, he didn't. He stayed on one more season. But his assistant manager, Dennis Booth, left. So I had one more season with John Ward, but Dennis Booth had left to go to Huddersfield with Brian Horton.
Right, okay.
Yeah. At the end of the season, Dennis called me and said, you know, how do you fancy coming to Huddersfield? And I really liked Dennis and I got on really well with him. We had a good connection.
Yeah.
Didn't know nothing about Brian, of course. Didn't know loads about Huddersfield, apart from the fact that, you know, that they beat us in the playoffs final. You know, I obviously know Huddersfield was a big club, but didn't know a lot about what the area was like, what the stadium was like, because I haven't played there before. I played at the old Lees Road, but I'd never played at the McAlpine at the time it was called.
Yeah.
So Dennis was interested in, said, you fancy coming? They were just obviously in the Championship, looking to do big things. And he sold it to me. And another good decision because, you know, I was ready to move away from Bristol and kind of spread my wings a bit really and see what the rest of the country is like and what
I'm going to have a little bit of a laugh with you because we've got something in common, right? And two West Country lads that ended up living in Huddersfield. I went to university up there. So it was a bit of a culture shock, you say. A bit cold, snowed more times than you remembered, and a bit freezing.
But I love it. I love it how I love the cold weather. So I'm one of those that I love when the summer comes. I can't wait. Yeah. When the summer ends, I can't wait for the winter. I just love it.
Where did you live up there? Did you live out of town? I guess.
I lived in town, and I lived in a place called Dewsbury, which is between Leeds and Huddersfield. So obviously stayed in a hotel for a few months before I got settled down and managed to give myself a chance to look for somewhere to rent in Huddersfield, and that's what happened. So hotel, rented somewhere, then bought somewhere.
And can I just say for Huddersfield, and you'll get this, around the area of Huddersfield's really nice actually. There's some really nice country areas up there, isn't there?
Yeah, really, yeah. It's a great place. I love it. You can I love it up there. I still go up there now to this day. So I've actually just come back from there today. So that's why I'm a bit late. Because my boys play football. My boys play rugby for Huddersfield Rugby Union Football Club.
Oh, do? Okay.
So they're both wingers playing for the first team, 21 and 23, I think. Sorry, boys, if you're listening. So they're both playing. So I go and watch them most weekends. Probably 2 or 3 weekends a month. I go up there and watch them.
And you're quite popular up there because they bought you for 1.2 million, I believe. And again, 133 odd appearances, 58 goals, and then a £2.5 million move. Is that right?
Yeah, something like that.
So, and then you ended up moving to Ipswich, which is going to sound really like I'm stalking you now, but I've also lived near Ipswich. But Ipswich Town, great football club to go to, wasn't it? Like
I said, I've made a good decision before when when I left Southampton. Don't know if it was a good decision at the time. And it was. Made a good decision when I left Rovers to go to Huddersfield, and it was a great decision. And now I'm making another one, and I don't know if it's going to be right or not. Didn't expect it to happen. I've said this to everyone. I actually said it on Saturday at Huddersfield Stadium. I did a little talk for the White Rose area. I didn't know this was going to happen. I got into training on a Monday morning, normal Monday. It might have been a Tuesday, but it was early on in the week. And the assistant manager just called. I just about to get in my car. I get out of my car to go into the changing room with all my bags on me and stuff like that. Get changed into my training stuff. And the assistant manager just called me over and just said, "Marcus, the manager wants to see you." So I went, "Okay, what's this now?" When you got called in the manager's office, it was either a telling off or a telling off. So, and Steve Bruce was manager at the time, and John Dean was assistant manager.
Yeah.
I walked into the office. Steve sat down at his desk, and he just looked at me and said, "Marcus, we've received a bid, and we've accepted a bid from Ipswich Town for whatever it was. I don't remember.
$2.5 million.
And you're more than welcome to chat to him. Get your agent to give him a call and let me know what you want to do." And I was like, "Yeah, okay. You're telling me that you want the money, because otherwise, if you didn't want the money and didn't want to sell me, you wouldn't have got me in this office, and you would have just told him, no, he's not for sale. And I wouldn't have had to know about this." So straight away, that told me that the club either needed the money or someone at the club didn't want me there. Either way, within an hour, I was in a car on the way down to Ipswich.
Right.
And like I said, all these thoughts were going through my head out in the journey on the way down, which is 4 to 5 hours.
It's
the right thing. Is the right thing again. So I'm having the same thoughts of the previous two things I've done in clubs I've been to. I think only time can tell you if you have or not, and it was the right decision at the time, in terms of what we achieved that season in the end.
Yeah. I used to live in Colchester, and I used to go up there occasionally, and we had a painful experience. Exeter last away game of last season, where we got hammered 6-0 while they got promoted. But one thing that stands out about Huddersfield Ipswich, is the great stadium. Really like their football. And a lot of history in terms of, the UEFA Cup. Did you ever find any sort of pressure from that, or you just go on with it? Because you still scored loads of goals, didn't you?
Never. I mean, I'm coming into a team that have failed in the playoffs two seasons prior to that.
Yeah.
When away goals were involved and all that sort of stuff. So I was coming to a team that I didn't know this at the time, but I knew that they had experience at the top half of the championship, top 5 of the championship for the last 2 seasons, and they were pushing again to win it. So I knew that I'd be involved in a successful team somehow, pushing quite often. If we didn't do it that season, we'd do it the next season, if that made sense.
Yeah, because you did do it.
That's one thing I did know was going to happen. We were going to be up there.
Yeah, because you were in the Premier League with them, weren't you?
Yes.
That's right. And it wasn't such a good season in the Premier League for you, or not you, but them, shall I say? It was a
Which one?
Sorry, my notes are gone. Did they get relegated in your second season in the Premier League?
So the first season we went up. So we won the we won the playoff final. First year I went there. I went there in January. We won the playoff final in May. So then we were in the Premier League for that one season, where we got into the UEFA Cup. I finished 5th.
Right.
And on the last game of the season, we could have actually got in the Champions League if Liverpool would have lost and Leeds would have lost, and we would have won. We drew the game anyway away to Derby, so we were in the UEFA, just in the Europa League as it is now. So, and then the year after was not a good year. No, second season syndrome, as they call it.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? And it's interesting because a lot of younger people, generations younger than us, because we're the same age roughly, they don't understand what Ipswich was like when we were young, shall we say, really young, because they were taking on all comers, weren't they? Winning the UEFA Cup and stuff. They were
they were. And Bobby
Robson
won the FA Cup as well. So, yeah.
So that must be quite a draw to go there for you once you.
Yeah.
What did you do?
The history of Ipswich, but for me, the draw was to get a chance to get promoted to the Premier League. That's the draw. And we had a chance because of what happened the previous 2 seasons. And they were up there again when I joined. So,
and what did they do? Did they, when you got there, did they show you around? Did they sort of like?
Yeah, of course they showed me around. Yeah, of course they did.
Right. Okay.
Of course they did. Yeah. And it's obviously the stadium's a lot. I would say fresher these days. You know what they're doing there outside and making the stands look good, making the outside looks good, looks presentable for the fans, and the fans can connect to it. But it was an impressive stadium back then. It's not changed now. Still got the same atmosphere. Like most clubs, if you're winning, the atmosphere is decent.
Indeed.
You know, we had 35,000 fans most weeks at home in the Premier League watching us. So, and their expectancy levels weren't too high at the time. So, you know, a draw at home to Man United on the first game of the season feels like a win to them and to us as well, I suppose, new into the Premier League.
And how did you find that with your next move? I know we're getting closer to Exeter City. Sunderland, there's another big club, a lot of expectation. Again, you did all right up there. How did that all come about?
This was a different one, actually. This was transfer deadline day, I think, August. Don't know what year it was, top of my head, but it was transfer deadline day. I had to get up there by a certain time. So it'd been August 2. It was August 2002, was it?
Yeah.
I joined. Yeah. So, got a phone call off George. It was time to go. There was young players coming through. Darren Bent was coming through the ranks. You know, it would turn out to be an England international and a great player and a great lad. So it was time for me to kind of move on and see how I got on somewhere else.
So deadline day, did you literally fly up there, helicopter?
I drove.
You drove, did you? Okay.
Drove up there, yeah. Got there in time, got there and signed on. Peter Reid obviously introduced himself, had a chat with him. That club sells itself as well, a bit like Ipswich does.
Yeah.
You know, 50,000 fans, 55,000 fans. Had a good season, a couple of seasons before. Finished just below us, I think in 8th or 9th when we got into Europe.
Yeah.
You know, so I thought I'd give it a go. And, you know, the first season wasn't too good. Obviously, I got Peter Reid the sack within 3 months of joining him. Howard Wilkinson came into the team, tried to steady the ship, but that didn't go too well for him. And then Mick McCarthy came in. So Mick came in, I think it was like 7 or 8 games to go. We were more or less relegated anyway. We had a small chance. The club were making cuts. There was going to be a lot of change at the end of the season. Kind of steadied the ship. Ended up getting relegated that season anyway. But then a lot of players left that summer.
And you were
brought a few players in, a lot likes of Dean Whitehead, Jeff Whitley, Liam Lawrence.
Oxford boy. Yeah.
Yeah. So he brought a few in, you know, on the cheap, but with real potential and real hunger in their tummies. And we kicked on that year. And we lost in the playoff semi-final against Palace. We won. I think we won away from home 1-0, or it might have been a draw. And we ended up losing on penalties at Stadium of Light. And they went on and beat us on penalties and went on to the final. So that was a tough one to take. So my first season was a relegation. My second season was a loss in the playoff semi-finals, which was my second loss in 3 playoff finals. So that was a tough one to take. So next year we were galvanised a bit and we were hungry, and we ended up winning the championship. And I left off the back of winning the championship. I've been promoted before and since then, but I've never won come top place.
And did if I got this right, it was just a question from me. Were you released because you went up and you were released on good terms because they were going to upgrade?
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct.
Sorry, you know, when you do a note, you think, awkward question to ask. Okay.
No. Listen, it was a release. Yeah, went to the Premier League, and I was probably ready to come back home anyway to Bristol. I felt I was maybe too old to play in the Premier League anyway. But looking back now, I made a massive mistake.
Really?
Yeah.
Should you have stayed?
I'd always say to anyone now, any footballer, whether you're part-time, earning a bit of money, or whether you're full-time, stay at the highest level you possibly can for as long as you can.
Right.
I could have gone to other clubs apart from Bristol City. I could have gone to Leeds, could have gone to Burnley, but I chose to come home and play in the League One. But I could have stayed in the Championship. And yeah, it's the only mistake I've probably made in my career, if I'm honest. I would always, not because it was Bristol City, it didn't go too well there, because I always wanted to play for my hometown club.
You're a Bristol City fan, aren't you, as a kid?
Yeah, I was as a kid, yeah. I was, yeah. So it's something I've always wanted to do, but looking back, I should have stayed in the Championship at a higher level.
Okay. And
I would have said that if I went to any other League One team, if that made sense.
Yeah.
Stay as high as you can for as long as you can.
And I'm really curious because I can't remember, and it came out in the research, and I was like, I didn't realise you're a Bristol City fan, because obviously everybody sees that you're an excellent career at Rovers. You know, there's obviously been difficulties there because the two clubs don't like each other very much, do they?
Oh yeah, yeah. A lot of scraps when I was a kid.
I
lived 2 miles from the city ground. I brought up there.
Yeah. You still
1 to 20 years old.
Do you get a bit of cheeky stick at the petrol station when you're filling up or something?
No. It was, at times it could get quite aggressive. So yeah,
really,
it is what it is. Yeah.
So yeah, brilliant. So yeah, obviously Bristol City, 27 appearances, 5 goals. They then moved on to Yeovil. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was on loan, but you played 54 times. You had some good times there as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
And sorry, for the benefit of everybody, you're still there now, aren't you? Or working with Yeovil, is that right?
I'm just doing their part time to Tuesdays and Thursdays, and try and go to as many games as I can. But it's difficult at the moment because I've got other priorities that are a little bit more important than football. So
yeah, no, I've deliberately not spoken about that, and that's been quite deliberate about it from me, because I'm sure everybody asks. But let's talk about Exeter City then. So I was going to ask the question, how did it come about? You've already answered that question. So what did you think of Exeter? You've seen all these sort of like big clubs, yeah?
Yeah.
Exeter City, a bit of a culture shock, other end of the spectrum. What did you make of it?
I liked it, but let me tell the story how I left, because I've not told anyone this.
Oh, go on.
You're the first one to know. So I was at Yeovil, about to sign a contract. Russell Slade got me in with John Fry in the office, upstairs, and I was sat there ready to sign a contract. Chairman come in, John Fry, and said, so chairman was there, Russell Slade was there, my agent was there, Phil Purnell, and I was there, all in this office. Yeah, we got this, Marcus. We managed to get a bit extra, sort of, which I was happy with. You know, that was that. So as soon as the chairman said he managed to get a bit extra, he obviously hasn't spoke to Russell Slade about this. So Russell kind of looks at him, and I'm sat in front of him, and says to the chairman, "Mr. Chairman, can we go outside a minute?" So they went outside. I'm sat there. The chairman's just said to me he's got the money, the contract's in front of me. Comes back in. The chairman walks back in, tells me that the contract's not there anymore, and Russell didn't come back in.
Really?
Yeah. So that was it. I left the club. But no one knows that, but that's the truth.
So you were just about to sign, and then all of a sudden,
the chairman said to me, "We managed to get that extra bit of money, whatever it was, Marcus, that you wanted." But obviously Russell sat next to him, and he obviously hadn't sold Russell.
Yeah.
And Russell kind of like pulled him out of the office and said, obviously, I know he wanted Darren away, which is fine because Darren's a great lad. And that was that. So I went out of there and got a phone call from Newport, and then I got a phone call from a couple of other clubs, and then Tiz called me. Right. And I loved Tiz. I liked him as a person when I played against him and with him. We're from completely different backgrounds, but he's got a heart of gold. And I've seen what he did at Team Bath. I've seen that they just got promoted themselves from the conference. And I know what it's like going into a club, especially when you come from the conference into League Two. Generally, you've got a really good chance of getting a promotion again.
Yeah.
You know, double bounce, a double promotion. If you're ever going to do it, is that league, the conference to League Two, to League Two, to League One, every chance of doing it. He told me all about the young, exciting players that were there. So I went down, spoke to him, and he sold it to me anyway, you know, because of who Tiz is really, and how he explains things. The thing is, with Tiz, he can coach me, and I will understand. I kind of understood exactly what he wanted because I like to think my football brain's up there with the best. So I knew if I wasn't sure, I'd ask him a question, even though he's my age. And he showed me respect. He showed me some really good ideas on how to coach. And again, it was another brilliant decision I made. You know, we ended up getting promoted that year. Was it second place we finished in the end? Or was it? Because we were just about, I think it was the final day at Rotherham. We might have just stuck into third if things went our way, but we ended up coming second. Is that correct? I think it was.
Yeah, that's right. Off the top of my head, yeah.
So,
by the way,
brilliant. We had so many young lads that were just hungry. You know, Rob Edwards, obviously an older head. Matt Gill, who's now at Southampton.
He's done all right.
Hank Taylor is now obviously manager at Rotherham. So, you know, Liam Sercombe, Dan Seaborn, you know, some good young players coming through. Dean Moxey, obviously Stano was there, who I became really good mates with. And I had a really good time there. Successful, overachieved a little bit. And I'm glad I went there.
Yeah, and we're glad you came as well. Yeah, who did you run with and stuff?
I don't remember, if I'm honest. I don't remember. I probably want to be in room knowing me. Being a bit older, I don't want to be stuck in with some 21-year-old. I'm 35, you know. But I don't remember rooming with anyone in particular. If I did room with someone, it probably would have been Rob Edwards.
Yeah.
Robbo.
What did you make of Rotherham away? Because the Don Valley's no more, I don't think. But
no, it's not. I remember it being a really sunny day. I was injured. I couldn't play. I got injured in the Brentford game a couple of weeks before, or a week before. So I couldn't play in the game, but I obviously went to the game. And Logie, like he does, Richard Logan, scores a winner. The journey on the way back was brilliant, you know, on the coach. Lads were on the beers, you know, everyone's singing.
Yeah.
Promotions don't come around very often. And I don't care what level you're at, whether I get promotion to the Premier League, get promotion to League Two, get promotion to the conference, from the conference to League Two. Every promotion feels as good. And that's what you do. That's what you play for. For me, you know, I've always played for promotions. I never played for money. The money comes with the promotions and the performances. A lot of footballers get it wrong. They're playing because they want the money. No, you get the performances first. You get the goals. You get the promotions. The rest of it will come with it.
Yeah, it will follow.
A lot of players get wrong.
Yeah, it will follow. And do you know what? As a supporter, great times. I can remember being on the M1 that Rotherham day, and there were some Leeds fans stopped in the services, and there was quite a lot of Exeter fans in the services, and they were ripping into us about the size of our support, and I think they were a little bit surprised that day, and also when we went and played Leeds' first game of the season. I think the next season that so many Exeter fans had come, but we'd created a bandwagon. It was really good times then.
Yeah, I remember having a really good chance that day to score. I remember it. I was going to retire that season. I planned to retire.
Yeah.
So at the end of the season, Tiz convinced me to stay on for another season.
Right.
But I'd already booked my holidays. So I booked my holidays, you know, retired. I booked him in I booked them in July when pre-season was.
Right.
So at the end of the season, Tiz convinced me to change my mind. I said, Tiz, I can't change my mind anyway. I've booked this 2-week holiday with my family, end of retirement kind of thing, have a little celebration.
Yeah.
Marcus, you can still go on holiday. I trust you to do your pre-season because you knew that I was a professional and would do it. I actually loved pre-season. A lot of people didn't like it. I loved it.
Right.
So he trusted me. So I went home to had a chat with the family. What do you think? And obviously, being Tiz, he convinced me to carry on. So I said, I'll do one more year. And I think that was my last year then. And then I retired my last game against Bristol Rovers for Exeter. So
yeah. And so am I right in thinking you're on holiday and you're doing pre-season training while you're on your holiday as well?
Yeah, on my own, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I came back and I think I had week's training with the lads, or a week and a half. And then I played against Leeds that day, started. I didn't expect to start, but Tiz obviously seen how fit I was in training. And there we go. That was that.
Put you in. Wow. So, I can't remember. Remind me, how did it all end?
I just, you know what? I got to the stage in my career where I played a lot of games on the bench, from the bench. And I wasn't a bad egg. I was kind of understood my role within the team. I was there as an older pro to kind of become player coach and play sometimes, and got that. But it was about a month. I think it's about a month to go towards the end of the season. And I always said to myself, when I'm happy that I'm on the bench, don't mean nothing. It doesn't hurt me. That's the end of it. And I was happy to be on the bench. It didn't hurt me. Normally, someone put me on the bench, someone dropped me. I was knocking on their door. I was being a pain in the ass. One of the two.
Yeah.
And I wasn't neither of them. I didn't knock on the door. I wasn't being a pain in the ass. So that tells me I'd lost that bit of fire in my belly, and it was time to not do it. I wasn't prepared to sit on the bench every week, and I didn't want to be that person that was happy to take money and being happy on the bench. And that's why I decided to retire, really.
Fair enough. And do you know what? I completely understand that. That's my mindset as well in life. So now you touched on your Yeovil. Mark Cooper, a little shout out, kindly connected us, as you know. And he did an amazing interview as well. By the way, you've been brilliant so far, and we'll continue, I'm sure. How's Yeovil? 2 days a week? Going all right?
Yeah, great. I try and go more. I mean, I try and do my 10% more. So you do your job at 10% more if you can. So if I can go an extra couple of days or an extra day or go to an extra game on the weekend, I will. I enjoy working there. Last year was one of the toughest years I've ever had in football. In terms of what went on behind the scenes and stuff. It's the toughest year. As a coach anyway. You know, I've done 700 plus games as a coach, assistant manager. Yeah. So I thought I'd seen it all, but I hadn't until last year. So this year, you know, Martin's come in instead of the ship and backed Coops. And at the moment, it's a good place to be. You know, the chairman's trying to get the fans back on side again. And I think the managers get them back on side again with us winning games. Yeah, and there was a feel-good factor there. So there's obviously pressure on earning expectancy levels for us to go up this year because the league we're in, you know, Yeovil shouldn't be in that league. But that doesn't mean we're going to automatically get promoted. You still got to scrap and fight hard and go away to somewhere, you know, like Slough or something in January when the weather's not too good. So there's going to be teams that want to upset you. You know, we're you know, a lot. I'd say along with us and Torquay, you know, every game for most teams are a cup game, you know, against us. So there's no room for complacency for me. If you go out with the same mindset and a focus and a resolve about you, then you're going to win most games. If you don't, then that ain't going to be the case because, you know, we're under pressure to get promoted. It's that simple, really, or have at least a good season. I'm enjoying myself. At the moment. I won't be at a club if I felt was mistreated. Don't need to be. And I don't get mistreated. So I'm happy to help. And I've got a bit of history there. So, I was part of the team that was the first ever team to play at Yeovil team to ever play at Wembley. When we lost. I'm not saying it's positive history. It is the fact that we played the first ever team to play at Wembley, but it isn't the fact because we lost. Simple as that. So no, I've got a bit of good history there as well. So I want to do my best for the club and for the people that employ me because they treat me with respect.
And they've got a good. Obviously, we haven't spoken about M&D, right? Deliberately didn't want to focus. I wanted to focus on your football. I wanted to focus on what you did at Exeter, what you're doing now. I'm just going to ask because people are going to ask the question, and I've seen the fundraiser where there was 4,462 people turned up. Jerry Taggart, Darren Way, Jill Scott, and it was said you were a reluctant star. Has it sunk in they came for you? Because that was what a reporter wrote at the time.
I mean, I don't see it like that. Listen, I think they have come. No, I don't see it like that. I see it as that they come for the people and the M&D community. That's how I see it.
Agreed.
Because that money wasn't going for me; it was going towards the M&D community through the Derby Rim Foundation. So that's what I see. And what I've said before is that those people that came to that game with a profile, the likes of Scalzi, the likes of Jill Scott, the likes of Ryan Thomas, the likes of Darren Wade, the likes of whoever was there, there's many more who made a massive effort. Jerry Taggart, of course, Jim Magilton, Matt Holland. They weren't doing it for their own profile. They were doing it to...
And some of them drove some drove great distances, didn't they?
Yes, they did. Jerry Taggart did. Drove all the way down from Scotland, I think it was. Ryan Thomas was on a family holiday in Portugal. He flew over in the morning of the game and then flew back to his family holiday in Portugal after the game.
Wow. Jim
Magilton flew over from Ireland. Matty Holland come down from Ipswich, which we all know is a pain to get to. Scalzi came down from Manchester.
Yeah.
Jill Scott came from the jungle. So everyone made an effort. Most of the ones, the ones that are local and are going to be within an hour's drive from the stadium. But the ones that, were in the Legends team, a lot of them made a fantastic effort and they know how much I appreciate it. I spoke to most of them and I do appreciate it. But like I say, it's not about me. It's about the community of M&D to give them hope alongside myself.
And it continues because there was a walk at the weekend, and I'm going to put a shout out for Shaz Bolton at the moment.
Yeah.
I know you know.
Yeah.
I'm also going to give her an apology because I was going to put it out on Friday, but I ended up having a, shall we say, inverted commas, a domestic issue that I don't really want to talk about on the podcast, though it didn't happen. But I'm going to be putting a link out after this show to the GoFundMe page that she's got, and I'm going to be making a donation personally because she's a friend of mine, and I'm going to be asking Exeter fans that listen to this podcast and other fans to make a pledge donation as well. So, and you're right, it is about understanding, because I'm going to show my ignorance and say I know a little bit about it, but I'm still learning. Yeah. So, it's important people understand what it's about. And you've touched on Adam Stansfield, and we raised some money earlier this year for mental health and for the Adam Stansfield Foundation with a fundraiser in Exeter in March. And this is partly what QOTPOD's about. So, I get what you're saying. I think it's lovely that you've said that, because MND, not many people know, do they? What have you learned from it so far?
Not a lot. There's a lot of emails going around, a lot of hope being thrown out there. I know it affects people differently. for myself, like I said before, I'm the lucky one. And what I mean by that is I'm unlucky that I have this disease, but I'm lucky that I haven't got as quick as a lot of people,
Yeah.
So, I've been living with this. I know I've been diagnosed a year now, but I've been living with this for 3 or 4 years. I'm quite sure of it.
Okay.
I just hadn't noticed things really. So I've got it quite slow. I'm hopeful that there's going to be a treatment that will extend life by a number of years, not the number of months. And I'm hopeful that there'll be a cure, of course. And all we can do is, get people on board. And one day when there is a cure or where there is a treatment where it's going to extend life by 10, 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
Those of you that have donated, you would have been part of that cure. That's what I'm going to say to you. Whenever that happens, you'll be part of that extended treatment. Even if it's £1, if it's 1 pence, even if it's 10 pence, you have been part of that cure when it happens. And it will happen, hopefully in my time. But it will happen.
Yeah. And I think that something should be done down at Exeter.
Exeter have been great. Exeter have been great. They've done They did a game the other week. I forget who was against. I think it was Cheltenham. When they invited me and Pete Everly, because Pete used to work in the community there as a coach, and he's got MND. He's become a friend, and me and him went there for the day and watched the game. But also did an awareness day and fundraising day for Pete and for Derby Rimmer. So Julian Tagg. I have respect for him as well. He's been great with me. Whenever I go to Exeter, do you know what? It's such a respectful club, and do you know where all that comes from? It's his days.
Yeah,
it's all about respect, all about legacy, and he's left a massive legacy at that club for me. Because I go down there now. And when was Tiz there last? When did he leave? Do you know?
You've got me. I'm going to embarrass myself. 2000.
Yeah, whatever year it was, would have been 10 years ago or more, I'm sure. Or not.
Okay. It's over 10 years now.
The people at that club still show respect, and I love it. Andy Gillard, love you, Andy. Great.
Yeah.
Just, I ain't got all the time in the world for you. Can't do enough for you. I'm very proud to be part of that club because I was lucky as well to be part of that club at that time because Tiz started off, and if everyone's continued the legacy that Tiz wanted to create, I'm proud to be part of that club. Really am.
And do you know what? Thank you for that. We are really respectful, and the trust has played its part with that as well. And it's funny when fans come down from other clubs and they're really surprised at the welcome they get. Yeah, basically, it's respectful. If you're nice, we're nice, type of thing. And a lot of people are saying that great place to visit, and let's continue to be like that because I'm sure we will. Let's finish on a positive note, if I may. Right, a real positive note. You mentioned about Adam and your friendship and about your love of the boys and connection with them. Jay Stansfield doing all right, isn't he? He's doing all right at Birmingham. What do you make of him? Have you seen him play?
I have seen him play. Yeah, I remember he was at Fulham. A young lad, he went from Exeter to Fulham, and I remember someone showing me some goals he scored. I think it would have been Darren Pearce, which is Marie Stanfield's brother. He showed me some goals, and I just think those sorts of things you can't teach someone. You've got it. You've got a knack. You've got an instinct, and he's got that. Do you know what? He's his dad with a little bit more quality. Stano, Adam, I'm all about, had the heart size of a drum. Yeah. He would run channels for you. He would chase people down. He set the press. He was just full of energy. Now, I would say Jay is exactly the same with a little bit more quality. That's what he is. And whenever I was speaking to him, he's always been humble, and Stano was always humble. Never felt like he was doing you a favour. He was doing it because that was his job. And whenever I speak to Jay, which is not very often, but when we do, sometimes we go and see Marie and have a chat with her. Or I know she speaks to my wife Louise quite often. Get the odd text off her. She's rubbish at text, so be better with text, Marie, for God's sake. We get on really well, and he's a very humble guy, is Jay. And the apple don't fall too far from the tree, as they say.
Yeah.
And he's not. He's like his dad in so many ways. Humble, a massive heart, just a little bit more quality. Sorry, Stano, if you're watching me.
What can I say? I don't know how long we've been talking. 45 minutes. It's gone in an instant.
Just over an hour, I say. At 45 minutes. Yeah.
I absolutely can't thank you enough for your honesty, the funny jokes in there, the stories. They've been absolutely brilliant. And I know you won't be a stranger down at Exeter. And a bit of an in-joke here. My brother says he owes you a pint because apparently he used to go drinking with him in Bristol, he claims. So
I might have done. Yeah, I done. Yeah.
When he was living up there. So look, wish you all the best. I'm going to put a link up, as I say, so everybody who listens to this now, put some money in, and do it, right? Make it so. Stay in contact. Can't wait to see you when you're next down at Exeter. Are you going to be around in the Exeter Bristol Rovers game for chance if Yeovil aren't playing?
I haven't got a clue. I mean, like I said, I don't do Saturdays because my boys play rugby on a Saturday, so I try and go to watch them as often as I can.
Right, okay.
It's quite important at the moment for me to do that.
Yeah, of course.
So I do midweek games and I do midweek. So that's all I can do at the moment, unless they, like I say, they find a cure or something that's going to treatment that's going to be outstanding. My family are priority. For once, football second, family's first. Normally, it's the other way around.
Brilliant. What a great note to finish on. You've been wonderful. Stay in touch, and thank you for your time.
Thanks, Al.
Look after yourself.